Hello everybody and welcome to Math with Miss Janke. Today we are studying Go Math Module 6 Lesson 3, so 6.3. This is day 1 of our notes. We're looking at unit rates and ratios and how we solve problems. So our essential question for today is how can you use ratios and rates to make comparisons and predictions? And one way that we love to show this is by using the table method. And so that's what we're going to look at here in our first problem. So this is the word problem that we are going to be working with for the entirety of today's notes. So make sure that you have this one written down. Notice I have color coded, so in your notes you should be color coding as well. Let's read the question. Anna's lemonade recipe calls for 2 cups of lemon juice and 3 cups of water. Bailey's recipe calls for 3 cups of lemon juice and 5 cups of water. And the question that we need to answer first by creating a table is this. In Anna's recipe, what is the ratio of lemon juice to water? So hopefully just by looking at this above question, we can recognize the ratio. So again, we have lemon juice, and that I was writing in blue, so I'm going to color code that in blue. And water I had written in red, so I'm going to color code that. So my ratio of lemon juice in Anna's recipe was 2. And then I'm going to use the symbol for the word 2 that we use in ratios to 3. And we could show that by writing lemon juice or lemon abbreviated to water. Okay, we are going to create a table to show this. And I want you to think about if you were making this lemonade, maybe you were going to have a party and you want to double or triple the recipe so that you have enough for all of your friends to have some lemonade. And how would you know how much to make? So let's make a chart or a table to show this. So go ahead and start creating your table. And again, I'm color coding. I'm going to show lemon juice. And I'm putting lemon juice on the top because that is the first item, first quantity in my ratio. And then on the bottom, I'm doing water. Okay, so here I go. When I'm creating a table, I always start with my original values. So my original value for my lemon juice was 2 cups lemon juice for Anna's recipe, and my original value for the water was 3 cups water. So let's go ahead and make a note down there that we have the original given values. And that's always what you put in the first box. Now when we look at the second box, we're going to think about if we were to double the recipes. So we're going to take our original value 2 and multiply it times 2 because we're in the second box. 2 times 2 is 4. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're in the third box. So I'm going to take my original value 2 and I'm going to multiply it by 3 because I'm now tripling my recipe. I'm in my third box. 3 times 2 is 6. Now repeat the process. My original value 2 and I'm in the fourth box. 2 times 4 is 8. Now I'm in my fifth box. 2 times 5 is 10. And I could even go on if I wanted to make another box, because I have space for it, I'm going to do it. I would, if I wanted to do 6 times the recipe, 2 times 6 would give me 12. So now I figured out if I wanted to double, triple, quadruple, etc. this recipe, that's how many cups of lemon juice I would need to use. Let's take a look at water. So we're starting with our original value of 3, and I'm in my second box, so I'm going to use 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Repeat the process again. I'm in my original number was 3, and I'm now in my third box. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Next, my original value 3, and I'm in my fourth box. 3 times 4 is 12. And you should be writing down all of these multiplication problems so you have them for reference in your notes. Repeating the process again, my original value 3 times 5 gives me 15. And last, 3 times 6, because I'm in my sixth box, gives me 18. Okay, we have now created a chart to show Anna's recipe. So if I asked you something like, what is the ratio of lemon juice to water if I tripled the recipe? You would say 6 to 9. If I said, what is the ratio of lemon juice to water if you were to double this ratio? You would say 4 to 6. Let's take a look at Bailey's recipe. In Bailey's recipe, what is the ratio of lemon juice to water? So again, I can write out showing lemon to water, and yes, I am still color coding. Checking back to my original problem. Bailey's recipe calls for 3 cups lemon juice and 5 cups of water. So our ratio is 3 to 5. Now let's create our table. We are still dealing with lemon. Whoops, my color coding. Still dealing with lemon juice and water. Think about, what are we going to write in this first box? Hopefully your brain is saying the original values. So our original value, we had 3 for lemon juice and 5 cups of water. Just like I did in my last table, I'm going to take my original value, this time it's 3, and I'm in my second box, so I'm going to multiply by 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Then I take my original value 3, and I'm now in my third box. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Repeat that process. See if you can figure these out. Okay, pause the video and see if you could figure those 3 out. Then check your work. All right, let's go to the bottom. On our bottom, we take our original value 5, and we're in the second box, so we multiply by 2. 5 times 2 gives us 10. Repeat that process. 5 times 3, 5 times 4, 5 times 5, and 5 times 6. You are allowed to use a calculator on this module, so take out your calculator and use it if you need it. Pause the video, then go ahead and check your work. Okay, so hopefully you have gotten all of those right to fill in your table. So again, if I said in Bailey's recipe, if you wanted to double the recipe, double, we're going to the second box. What is the ratio? The ratio of lemon juice to water is 6 to 10 if I were doubling the recipe. If I wanted to quadruple the recipe, that means do 4 times the recipe. I would look in my fourth box, and I would say the ratio is 12 to 20. 12 cups of lemon juice to 20 cups of water. Okay, we are going to look at creating equivalent ratios using fractions. So I want you to pause the video and get these 3 steps written down. Once you have those 3 steps written down, we're going to go over the mathematical side of it. So let's take a look. This is example 2. We are creating equivalent ratios in fraction form. Okay, so we're still working with that original problem, and we know we had lemon juice to water. And when we put our ratio in fraction form, remember the first quantity in our ratio is the numerator. So I'm going to show that lemon over water in fraction form. And I want to first deal with Anna's recipe, and then I'm going to deal with Bailey. So we had said that Anna's recipe was 2 to 3. So in fraction form, I would write that 2 over 3. Remember, the first quantity is the numerator. Bailey's was 3 to 5. So I'm going to write that with my first quantity, 3 as the numerator, 5 as the denominator. We've just taken care of step 1. We wrote both of the original ratios in fraction form for Anna and Bailey. Now we're going to move on to step 2. We need to find a common denominator. So think back to when we did addition and subtraction of fractions. Getting a common denominator, we must use least common multiple for 2/3 and 3/5. So maybe you're recognizing that LCM already. If you're not recognizing it right away, we're looking at multiples of 3 and 5. We can list them. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and so on. Let's do 5. Count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Now we're looking for the least number that they have in common, and hopefully you're recognizing that that is 15. So with our common denominator being 15, I'm going to rewrite my problem here. I need to ask myself, how did I get from 3 to 15? Using multiplication, we multiplied by 5. Whatever we do to the denominator, we always do to the numerator. So that gives me a numerator of 10. Same thing over here. How did I get from 5 to 15 using multiplication? Think multiply by 3. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so now I have my common denominator, and we can move on to step 3. Let's read step 3 together. Once you have a common denominator, compare the value of the numerator. So we're just looking at our numerator, our top number. Which one is bigger, 10 or 9? Okay, easiest question of the day. The bigger number is 10. So therefore, the fraction 10 over 15 is greater. But we need to think, our question asked us to write it using these ratios written as fractions. So we need to convert them back. 10 over 15 was the same thing as 2 over 3 for Anna. And 9 over 15 was the same thing as 3 over 5 for Bailey. If you need to check your work, you can simplify by dividing by 3. Simplify and divide by 5 over here, and you'll get 2/3 and 3/5. So we can say 2/3 is greater than 3/5. So when you do that, you want to write your answer in the proper form that the question is asking you for. Okay, even though we did the step with the common denominator, the question was asking us to answer this way, written in the original format with my numbers 2 over 3 and 3 over 5. All right, students, this has been Module 6, Lesson 3 of Go Math. Thanks for watching.